Hey everybody, what's happening? I'm Tommy, and you're on the lifeboat. Jennifer, good to see you. Russ Hampton is listening. He's in lurking mode because the man works 130 hours a week. But good to have you here, Russ. Glad you're here. Zaphod, Beeblebrox, glad you're here. Um, yes, my son is an excellent individual to be sure. And I'll tell you something. I tell him this every single day. People don't think I'm one of those dads. Demon, good to see you. I am absolutely not one of those dads. Shannon Smith, how are you? Sophia, good to see you. Tommy Bird, what's up? Am I missing anybody? Live for now, good to see you. So I talk to Calhoun about this all the time. Hello, my friend in Israel, getting close to that baby, aren't we? Got to be getting real close. I talk to him about this every single day. It's not a day that goes by that I don't touch base with him about the boat, and he's killing it. He needs to stop comparing himself to me. A really bad idea because it's literally comparing an apple to an orange. Because there are pressures of him coming in to do what he does that I never felt ever in my career, and I never could. Right, following your dad has got to be a little rugged, but I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it well. About 5.5 weeks left. I remember when we were at 10, I knew we had to be getting closer. Thank you, Shannon Smith. It is good to see you as well. We're going to have fun today, people. This is a good one. This really is. This is a good one. Science recently has started to kick out a lot of stuff that is making the recovery game a little bit easier, which is good because our statistics suck, right? I mean, if you want to keep it real about sobriety, there are not that many programs out there that do any better than any other program out there. For real. The failure rate's about 80% across the board for any kind of treatment that you're doing. That's frightening, yeah? It scares the hell out of me. This, however, what we're doing here is a very different concept. It really is. But we're playing off of all of the things that we're learning from this program and that program and what worked here, what doesn't work there, that kind of thing, right? We're trying to evolve, we're trying to learn. And one of the things that has been a real bullet in the arsenal are all of the drugs that are available now for medical assisted treatment so that you can, in some cases, wean people off drugs, in some cases, block that person's ability to use the drug for an extended period of time. There's a lot of different things that we have at our disposal that we never had at our disposal before, right? That's cool. We also have a lot of people who are spending a lot more time researching addiction. It didn't seem like it was a very popular subject for a very long time, but boy, it sure as hell is now, which is good because the vast majority of this country is addicted to something, right? That's just a fact. Good to see you, Admiral Tommy Spanks. He's doing a great job. It's cool to have more unique take in the wheelhouse of the boat. Yeah. At the same time, we do miss you. It's nice seeing you from time to time. I like that. It's a great take. Brianna Miller, good to see you. You know what? I like coming back here. I really do. I have a good time doing this. It's kind of the best of both worlds. I'm able to come here and do this, but I'm not. Why do people keep saying what? The 80% thing? Because it's a stone cold fact, right? It's a stone cold fact. 80% of people that try to get sober are going to fail. That's a fact. We are people that, number one of the reasons that those statistics have to be said, and one of the reasons that you have to share stuff like that is we, since a very young age, we've been BS'd about everything having to do with drugs. We really have, right? They lie to us from Jump Street. And we get this, even at a subconscious level, we get this thing where anything anyone tells me about dope is going to be BS because they've been lying to me about it my entire life, right? I don't sugarcoat anything. I really don't. And it is depressing, but I'm wading in the middle of it. I'm going to be in that 20%. Bank on that. And for my particular drug, oh man, the statistics are so much worse. I shouldn't say it. It will really bum you guys out. It's in the single digits. It is absolutely horrific how hard it is to get off of opiates. But we have tools in the arsenal we've never had, and we have research that is giving us a window into what our problem is, right? And there are a lot of really intelligent people who are saying, you know, the cravings that we feel all day long, we feel them all day long because we allow it to happen. Our brain, which is not our best friend, we talk about this a lot. Your brain would like you to take the easy route, right? And what's the easy route? Well, for me, it's putting a needle in your arm, not having to deal with anything in the actual real world, just going, throwing a switch and turning off all emotion, turning off pain, just right, physical pain, spiritual pain, emotional pain, pain of any kind. Throw a switch. That has always been, the craving for me. That's what I was giving into. What the first time I heard that it takes about 8 minutes to make a craving go away, I said, "You are an idiot." It's literally one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. My cravings last all damn day. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I remember being in the throes of withdrawals in prison and going through it, pacing back and forth, pissed off, and sat down and started talking to Q. And I don't know how long we were into it, about 30 or 40 minutes. And he went, "You do realize you've sat down, you're not acting like a weirdo. Like, all of the symptoms that you walked into this room with are gone, and you didn't do any dope. Nothing has happened to you to make those symptoms go away. What's up?" 8 minutes. If you can distract somebody for 8 minutes, no, you know what, Jeremiah, it's not exactly true. Research doesn't back that up. It really doesn't. More often than not, when you get them turned off, people get 6, 8 hours, 10 hours. Sometimes, you get to a threshold where I gotta, for me, I need 8 minutes about once every 4 or 5 months. But I need it. Like, I need it. Where I'm at the I need to call my 5, then I'm in bad shape. There are a whole lot of tricks you can do yourself that don't require somebody talking to you for 8 minutes. Go seriously work out for 8 minutes and try to keep ants going in your head while you're doing that. It is a difficult thing to do. Your brain doesn't like counting to do sets. It doesn't like exerting. It doesn't like any of that. At the same time that you're trying to let ants tell you that you're a piece of crap or mom wasn't very good to you, right? Or mom loved your sister more, or your brother more, or any of the crap you're hung up on, or I'm hung up on, or anyone's hung up on from the time that they're a kid. Tommy Bird says, "I can make it through a whole day if I can beat them once." Yeah, if you can get them put behind you. You know what, Jemiah, I'm sorry. Geez, that's not even close. I'm sorry. I believe that on a bad day, it changes for you. I don't believe that any two people are the same. Tommy Bird is saying it takes a little bit longer. It might be 15 minutes or whatever. I have experienced this. I don't think I'm exaggerating if I say 1,000 times since I started the lifeboat, where people are just, I get on the phone and they say, "I'm going to use, like, this is it. I'm at the end of the rope. I'm willing to talk to you, but I'm telling you right now." And they get through. And they don't get through because I'm a friggin' magician or I'm a wizard of some kind. I listen to people, right? I listen to them. And there's probably a little bit of an added bonus that I know exactly what it's like to want that next shot more than that you'd rather be dead than be sick. That's a feeling I understand really, really well. Flick Fox says, "I did the 8 minutes with my ex today. I'm helping him get clean. He was just waiting for the 8 minutes to be up so he could say it didn't work. I'm doing something wrong, or he doesn't want help." You know something? This is the thing. The reason, in my opinion, the reason that that the failure rate is 80% is because people don't want to get sober. They don't. Why do people go to rehab? Because they go, "Oh, my life is in ruins, man. I have screwed up. I don't want to keep doing this to my wife, to my kids. I'm going to go check myself into a rehab." Does that happen? It does. Does it happen every time? Hell no. More often than not, there are people who intervene, right? I had a boss that said to me, "You have 2 options, right? One of them is going to rehab today." And the other, of course, was not working for him anymore. And these rehabs were kind of cool. A lot of money got spent on them. It was like kind of like going on vacation for a little bit. And that's how I viewed it. But I wasn't going into that puppy to get sober. I was going into that to appease the guy that signs my checks. There are people who go in to appease their significant other. They go in to satisfy the state, right? The government that says, you want to stay on the street or you want to go to prison? If you want to stay on the street, you're going to finish this program. I don't want to be there. They're going to go to it because they don't want to get locked up for skipping a meeting, but there's nothing there. And I believe that happens. I believe it happens a lot. If you want to be in treatment, you're going to have a much better chance of it working, right? If court ordered, not so much. I agree. And if I start talking to somebody and they're going like this to check the 8 minutes, I'm not going to waste my 8 minutes on them. I'm sorry. I know it's your person, but I would say to them, this isn't it yet, huh? You're not there. And that's sad. But if I've learned one thing through all of this, it's that you cannot force the window open, right? That window of opportunity, when somebody is ready to get sober, it opens, it closes. It opens, it closes. If somebody is there when it's open to listen and to say, I care, and to steer them in whatever direction you can to make the next part of that a little bit easier, then they're going to be successful, right? If you start counting all the people that we work with just like that, I think you're going to find that it's an inverse. I bet 80% are successful and 20% fail because they come here without a court order. They don't come here because their wife tells them they need to or their husband tells you that you need to. It's not that kind of a gig. People show up here because they want to be here. That really changes the entire format. And it makes it a whole lot easier if you're going to roll that 8-minute thing out. Nothing worse than wasting your time, right? Never try to teach a fish to ride a bike because you'll piss off the fish and you're going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste 8 minutes on someone that doesn't want to get sober. I'm going to absolutely, I'll take 10 times that with somebody that really wants to get sober though. I mean, if you've been on the boat long enough, man, I've done 12 hours with people, right? I've held people's hands through some really, really ugly withdrawals, but that's not a waste. Right? If somebody wants to get clean, if somebody wants to get better, then anything you can do to help them, right? That's connection, that's humanity, that's good stuff, right? 2 times a day I have cravings. That's when I go pop a sub in my mouth. It used to be 3 times a day until I met Tommy. Russ, I'm so glad that it's not. Two is a much better dose. Medicine agrees with that, and it's cheaper, which is always a good thing. But this is an excellent example: medical assisted treatment, right? This is that substance goes in and paints the receptor and makes it so that those cravings go away. And one of the reasons that they say, you know what, have it take 5 years, 6 years, whatever you need to get your life so ingrained and established. You take 30 years of screwing up. I'm out robbing banks. I'm running and gunning. I'm sticking needles in my arms. And my focus for 3 decades is shooting dope. The crime was so that I could shoot dope. But the focus of my life for 3 damn decades was shooting dope. Now I got 8 years of that being gone. It'll be 9 years in June, right? That's a third of the time, right? I'm still learning a whole lot of crap that I didn't learn when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Sad, but true. When I really should have been learning coping skills and all of those things, I was already starting to get high, right? I started really young, and doesn't pay off. Doesn't pay off. It leaves you in a bad place on the back end. Shannon Smith says Suboxone's been a game changer. It really has. It really has, and I think we need to be open to other things that come on the horizon. We have to become a society that doesn't want to see the addict hurt in order to get sober, right? We can't let you party your ass off for 30 years and have all that fun and then just say, well, it's a disease. I'll take a pill and get cured. No, we're not having that. We're not having that. We want to see some suffering. We do want to see some suffering. Maybe some really bad withdrawal symptoms, things like that. It doesn't sound normal, right? But I promise you, it's the truth. It's another one of the reasons that there's always going to be a segment of the population that says it's not a disease. You're always going to get that segment of the population. Brianna Miller says, I've taken naltrexone before and it made me so ridiculously anxious and depressed. Really odd. It really is. That is odd. I'd be curious to know how much of it they gave you and how, right? I've never heard anybody say that, but every single person is different. Now, if you're watching, naltrexone is not Suboxone. It is an ingredient in Suboxone. It's at a 2-to-1 ratio, the buprenorphine to the naltrexone. But they put the naltrexone in there to make it a lot harder to abuse, to party on, or whatever, right? They make it really difficult. Now, people still do it. In prison, these guys shoot this stuff into their veins, right? Which is really just the idea of it blows my mind. But they absolutely would just bang dope and on the spot and shoot Suboxone into their arms. It's definitely not how it was designed to be done, but it's the ritual. It's the fact that people need to feel that thing prick their skin. I don't know anybody on the boat, to be sure, that if I was hurting, if I felt like my sobriety was in danger, there are very few people on this channel that if I reached out and said, you got 8 minutes, would turn me down. I think the vast majority of people on planet Earth would give up 8 minutes to help somebody remain sober. I wholeheartly believe this. I realize we're slightly nicer over here than we are on other platforms, but I gotta believe that 8 minutes is something that everyone could give up. Yamena, Tommy, completely off topic, but I wanted to find that picture in the wall. The one behind me. You know what? If you send me an email, I will tell you where I got that. I don't know if there are any left. It was a limited run of prints. That is from the town I grew up in. That's a bridge I spent a lot of time on. To be sure, spent a lot of time on there and under there. Used to get high all the time. Yamena, I think I got the overall. I figured your question out. I think we're good. Yeah, there are people that do not understand addiction, right? And bless them for not. I wish I didn't. Yeah, it's really an interesting take. From my understanding, naltrexone plugs up your dopamine receptors. I think that's why it made me so depressed. Not exactly what it does. It's not exactly what it does. What it does is it stops the mu receptor from being able to take in things that are going to stimulate it. But there you have a ton of other receptors in your body that do all kinds of things. It's just really focusing on the mu receptor. But again, the longer I do this, the more I meet people that don't have entire systems in their body. Like I don't have an endocrine system, or I don't have this. And it's amazing how many people are out getting through a really tough world and doing it by basically relying on themselves, right? It's been, if there's a takeaway from the medical community, it's that I have a very difficult time relying on the medical community, right? That's kind of sad, but it's the truth. So I had to become the person that spent more time, on this than anybody else did, right? I had to become sort of my own advocate. Russ says, I dropped to 2 subs a day with my doctor. She was blown away. I actually asked to get 60 instead of 83 a month. You know what? I love that. I really do. And you will find that here's the reason, because I have people who say, why not just take all the buprenorphine you can get? If the crap works and it's not messing your life up, who cares if they're doing, does it make? And the point is that, number one, you want to get away from the idea of the more of this I take, the higher I'm going to get, because that doesn't actually do anything with Suboxone. It has a counter effect. By the time you've taken 4 strips, the amount of Narcan in your body is making it very difficult for that to do the kind of thing it's supposed to do. It's very well engineered to make it hard to abuse. People still do it, right? But I have found that in higher doses, right, your emotions get played with. You become, you're a lot less responsive with your emotions. Anhedonia, you start losing the ability to feel. And so the smaller a dose you can take, the better. That's my humble opinion. I'm not a doctor, I'm a drug addict. But I have found that works for me. Footbox says, I needed people when addicted. My ex pushes away. Are women more likely to ask for help? I don't know the answer to that. It would be interesting to find out. My gut tells me yes. My gut tells me yes, but I don't know the answer to it. I know that statistically speaking, women have 2 times a harder time getting off of opiates than men do. The success rate is both of them are abysmal, but it's worse for women than it is for men. They have a harder time. But I think a lot less women get addicted to opiates. So I don't know. It's weird. Here's the interesting thing, people. Here's the interesting thing. So all of this 8-minute stuff started really sinking in. And I started working with a woman maybe a year ago. I don't know if it's that long. Might have been a year ago. Dennis, I will explain that in a minute, because stick around. That is absolutely worth talking about. But hang on for 1 minute. So I was working with this woman that I met through the boat, and we exchanged contact information so that I could reach out to her. She could reach out to me through Messenger. And this was in the earlier days. I did a lot of that, right? I really was very intimately involved because there was only about 15 people. I could work with every one of them, right? But as I started to work with this person more, I got on the phone with her one day, and she was at her wit's end. And I was pretty freaked out by where she was mentally. We spent about 25 minutes on the phone, and there was a shift. I don't know if it was at 8 minutes, right? But there was a shift where all of a sudden everything started to really get more normal and more regular. And she started to sound a lot more like the woman that I had been working with. And when it was all done and we got to the end, and she said, thank you. And I said, is there any chance you're going to use, when we hang up this phone? And she said, use what? And I was like, dope, right? Whatever your drug of choice is. She said, I've never been addicted to a drug. Never been addicted to a drug. Was having some pretty serious problems emotionally, right? 8 minutes of somebody taking the time to talk to her and listen to what she had to say, not do the but actually listen, ask some questions that show that you're listening and that you actually do want to hear this. And it's amazing what this 8 minutes can treat. Because I've talked to people on more afflictions than you can imagine, for a half hour, 45 minutes to try to get someone who is really on edge, maybe back from the edge a little bit. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter if it's dope. It doesn't matter if it's gambling. It doesn't matter if it's something I don't know about. If you're doing something and you don't have control over it, right? You just can't stop. You know it. People write to me, I'm wondering if I'm addicted. No, you're not. No, you're not. I mean, that sounds good, right? And it's something we go through. It's this gymnastics shit that we go through before we can actually admit to ourselves that we're a drug addict. I mean, I understand the process, but we know. So Dennis from Boston says, some say it's a disease, but it's your choice to pick up the drink. Always confused me. Well, here you go. Let's say that 2 of us, right, live the exact same life. In every aspect, we do the same thing. We go to the same elementary school. We go to the same high school. We both play football, right? We go to the same college. We party every day. We join the same fraternity, blah, blah. If I'm partying on a Monday, Dennis from Boston's partying with me on Monday. But at the end of the run, right, 4 years of college is over, and I go, Dennis, we got to tighten up our game, start making some money, right? I got a girl I'm intending to marry. I gotta become, a grown-up. Dennis says, yeah, me too. Dennis doesn't stop. Dennis just continues to do the exact same stuff. And it makes no sense. Why? We did the same stuff, right? We had the same life experience. Why can't he stop? And why can I like that? Well, the answer is quite simple. I have, or Dennis would have in this case, the disease of addiction, right? This is a disease. So if you have it, if you have the predisposition to addiction and you pick up that drink, you're going to become addicted. Right? That's what the science is telling us. You already have that genetic marker. When you meet your drug of choice, it's all over but the crying. Now, you may not meet your drug of choice. if you live the right life, you could have the predisposition for heroin addiction, but you just never went down that road, right? Anytime you took pain medication, you took it exactly how it was said in the bottle, that kind of thing, you know? This is, now, Dennis, think about somebody who has type 1 or type 2 diabetes, right? Type 1 we throw out because that's not that you're born with, and the day it is what it is. The other, you're born with the predisposition to diabetes. Now your lifestyle is going to determine whether or not you get the disease. Sound familiar? If you're a drug addict, your lifestyle is going to determine whether or not you get the disease. It's pretty damn similar, right? There's not a lot of difference between the two, and there shouldn't be. Why? Because they're both diseases. Yeah. And the symptoms from one, you're going to have real thirst, right? Diabetics tend to be thirsty often, and they tend to they urinate a lot. The things that they tell you to look for, right? Well, for drug addiction, the symptoms tend to be a little bit more obnoxious, right? We might steal from you. We sure as hell are going to lie to you, and we're going to lose our faculties. Drugs leave your brain different than you started. It's kind of a frightening thing. When it becomes a problem for you, then it's a problem, not when others feel you have one. Honestly, I've never said to somebody, yeah, you're an addict, you need to get clean. I've never said that to anybody. Wouldn't do a damn bit of good. You know what? I've never said that to somebody first. I've said it to a lot of people, who came to me and decided to get clean and then went back out and started the party. Yeah. When they call, I'll say, yeah, you're a drug addict. You need to get clean, right? There's nothing too tough to figure out in this. Yeah. I know people that tried to smoke and never smoked. I know if I pick up another cigarette, I will not be able to stop. It controlled my life. And 6 months since quitting, it still gives me the urge. I bet, Jimena, and I bet smelling it, and then right after you eat, right after sex, if it's the first thing in the morning and you're getting your coffee, for people that use nicotine, the coffee, the caffeine, the nicotine, and then right to the bathroom, right? And that's becomes very much a part of the process. Yeah. And then you cut that out of your life, right? Well, I always smoked after a meal, right? Always. Well, not anymore. So you have to find something to do with your hands and with your time as soon as you're done eating. Jeremy Shelton says you could always just put on the Bee Gees, right? Excessive chest hair and Saturday Night Fever. He digs it. I'm not mad at him. I'm a fan myself. Jimena says, exactly. Yeah, that's that's what it is, Dennis. I mean, and I know it sounds confusing because you don't think of someone bringing a disease to themselves. You think of, well, disease come, and if you're not lucky, what if you smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day for 20 years? What are your odds of getting lung cancer? Well, you know what science will tell you? You're going to kind of have that in your body. Like if you're someone that doesn't have that predisposition to develop into lung cancer, this is why there are people who smoke. They're 95. They're smoking 2 packs a day, right? We all see these. Everybody knows somebody. She lived to 90, still smoking cigars, right? But on the flip side of that, there are people who have that marker, and within a couple of years of smoking 2 packs a day, they develop lung cancer and it kills them, right? It is a very difficult thing to predict, right? With any kind of regularity. This is a really funky disease. But in order for something to be a disease, there are some boxes you have to tick off. And doctors would argue about the disease thing. And the reason was you couldn't do a test to a drug addict and a test to a non-drug addict and look at the difference. You have to be able to test someone and say, with the use of the test, you have this disease. If the test has not been discovered yet, they're not going to call it a disease, like fibromyalgia, right? Fibromyalgia is a disease. Make no mistake, it's a disease. But there are people on this planet who think that all of the people out there with fibro are all faking it, right? They all just want to try to get dope, or they all just want to. I feel for them because I've been screaming that drug addiction is a disease for a really long time. right? It made real sense to me the first time I heard it. It really did. I had a slightly different feel though. To me, when I heard that it was a disease, I thought, I have that friggin' disease. The reason I can't quit is because I have that disease and I have it worse than anybody else ever had. And that was my mindset. I mean, honestly, that's where my head went. And when you're making enough money, right? If you're not hitting rock bottom, you can just do heroin forever. Had I not gotten fired, you guys never would have met me. If I was continuing to work as a public speaker, I probably would have just shot dope into my 60s or 70s and then, just got old and died. I certainly, I needed to hit rock bottom. I really did. Yuppers, I have fibromyalgia and people are idiots. Jennifer, I know they are. I know they are. Darcy says, I know I won't die by cigarettes, but I still want control of my own life. Hell yes. Nothing like booking a vacation and having to think, how long am I going to be on the flight? Right? Can I go? Am I going to freak out if I do 6 hours on a plane without a cigarette? That's tough, right? That's sad. It really is. That's sad. Or we're going on a road trip. First, you got to make sure that there's enough cigarettes. If you're going out of the country, you got to bring cartons, right? Because you don't want to smoke. The stuff that they smoke in other countries tend to be a lot different than the American tobaccos, which aren't American, of course, but the ones we sell in America. I've met people that would get addicted to whatever gave them euphoria in some way. Some just don't have that tendency. Yeah, some are not born with it. So a while back, they found out that by doing brain scans on people, right? Like the kind where they're letting it roll. It's not a static picture. It's like a video. They can diagnose. They can look and go, do you see that action right there on Tommy's brain? Right? You see how it's not happening over here on the normie brain? That is how you can tell. And you can do that with anybody that comes in. When that happened, the entire world said, yep, it's a disease. Now people who say it's not a disease are just kind of thick, with all due respect. Thank you, Dennis. Yes, you got the marker and your brother didn't. I think that's very, that really is an excellent example. You say, how could this happen to me? I have siblings, right? And Johnny was a drug addict, but my sisters weren't, right? No problem at all. And they weren't teetotalers either. They'd go out and drink and they kind of lived the life. They went and one of my sisters smoked some pot, did some pills in college, partied, then just walked away. No problem, no harm, no foul. I'm done. That wasn't an option for me. It really was not an option for me. Now, back to my epiphany. While I'm talking to this woman, right, when she said to me, I'm not addicted to anything. There's no way in hell. If you had listened to the 8-minute phone call, 30-minute phone call, but if you had listened to the 8 minutes that I do with that woman and the 8 minutes that I do with other people and the interaction between the two of us, you couldn't say to me that one was the drug addict and that one was just having problems, with some emotional stuff or some mental health stuff. There's no way you could tell me the difference. It was exactly the same thing. The responses, the fact that, thank you, Tommy, I really feel a lot better. I didn't do squat. I listened to them. People always go, yeah, I wanted to talk to her. I just didn't know the right stuff to say. You don't have to say anything, right? You don't have to say the right things. Ask questions. That's how, right? That's how people don't use. When someone reaches out, you ask them questions. And it's amazing when you get someone to start telling you why they feel the way that they do. They have to turn off the emotional part of their brain and they got to engage the more rational part of their brain to be able to tell me the problems and articulate them. Now, when they start doing this one, I go, hey, whoa, take a deep breath, right? I want to help you. If I can't understand what you're saying, really, there's no way that I can help you. So you got to take a deep breath. And then when I talk to them, I do stuff like this, where you just start talking a little bit quieter and you start everything you do, you're doing to try to, right? Get that person to sort of calm down so that you can have an intelligent conversation. But if you use if yeah. Hi, y'all. I actually pretended to get high or use drugs with marshmallows, as each one being a hit, and I had no idea about the existence of drugs. I didn't call them drugs, but I instinctively knew. You know what? I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. The first time I saw somebody shoot dope with a needle was in an after school special, right? Now, you didn't see it the way you did in Pulp Fiction, but you sure as hell got a real good look at them taking out their works, setting everything up. They had the bent spoon, which I've never seen in real life, by the way. I've never seen anybody bend the spoon like that, but whatever. They had the bent spoon and they were, cooking it and drawing it up. And yeah, that was the first time I ever saw somebody shoot dope. Everybody around me was repulsed, and I was not. I was not. By that time, I was already starting to get high, right? I was already doing other drugs. And I remember thinking to myself, I would really like to know what that felt like. I'd love to know what it feels like to put a drug into a vein. I mean, I remember thinking that just at a really, really young age. It had my number. Avena Sativa, I get it. Jimena, that is such a kind thing to say. Really, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And if you're watching this and you didn't see it live, she said some really sweet things about me that I don't want to. But they were really nice. And I'm really happy, Jimena, that you're doing well. This is a great group of people, and they will absolutely propel you forward. If you want to work on yourself, this is a really cool group of people to be around. Kristen Melinda just got out of yoga class. Good for you, girl. You don't remember that after school special? I think you can Google it. It's called Dinky Hawker Shoots Smack. Not kidding. That's the name of the that was the name of the after school special. Dinky Hawker Shoots Smack. Ridiculous, right? I don't think they could make that today. I don't think that they would make that. Yeah, loved candy cigarettes. A lot of people, the exact same thing. Yeah, a lot of people, same thing, right? We were the kids in playgrounds that spun in circles, right? Fell down because it was the first buzz you had a shot at. Think about it. It was the first time you could alter the way you felt. And when you found out you could do it, you wanted to see if you could do it more. Like, how many times did that dude spin around? Because I'm going to do it more than that. I'm going to spin around until I fall down. And that will follow you through life. I swear to you, it's just kind of how that works. You know what? I love it when I read a comment. Like, I don't even need to know what Russ was talking about. But as I go down through this, because there's no way I can read all of them. You realize that, right? You just kind of scan. But Kristen B says, wow, I hadn't even thought of that perspective. I hope you're finding ways to process that. Doesn't matter what the conversation's about, right? Makes no difference at all what the conversation's about. Do you know what that is? Huh? That's connection. Russ, whatever he was talking about, ain't suffering in silence. And Christian B sees that, right? And is there to say, you know what? Like it. Different perspective, one I hadn't thought of. And I hope you're finding ways to process it. Not, I hope you're doing all right. Okay? That's not helpful. We all hope everybody does right. I hope you're finding ways to process that. That is an intelligent statement or an intelligent thing to say, because what do we do all day long here? We talk about ways to process stuff. Right? We talk about different things you can do to get through that 8 minutes. What if you're somewhere and you can't make a phone call? Because I'll tell you something, prison's a bitch. You're not making a phone call from prison. And if your cellmate does dope, he's probably not going to have that 8-minute conversation that's going to make you want to put down whatever drug you're doing, right? So I used to drop and I would try to do push-ups for 8 minutes, right? Do it until I would have muscle failure and fall down, right? Just collapse. And then get up and shake my arms out, right? And start doing this number and then drop back down and do it again. Tommy, what did you call heroin for slang in your day? I called it Magoo. There you go. Honestly, the HERN, that was the running joke, was Hern. And the reason was I was doing heroin at a time when all of the people I hung out with were not. They had been very vocal about the fact that They would never do anything like that. Then one of their friends came in from out of town and they kept building this guy up. Wait till you meet him. He's a madman. You're going to love this dude. And he walked in the room and we looked at each other and it was like, it took 2 seconds, right? Oh my God, he does dope. And he goes, I tell you what, I'm taking Rocco. He said, I'm taking Rocco. We're going to go for a ride. He goes, where are you guys headed? He goes, we're going to swing by the Fifth Ward and pick up some tar heroin. We'll be back in about 45 minutes. And everybody laughed. And when we got in the car, he looked at me, he goes, you got gas, right? I said, where are we going? He goes, I just told you where we're going. And I ended up doing a ton of dope with that cat, right? I ended up doing an awful lot with him for a very long time. But it's really an odd thing. When we got to, he took us to this house in Huntsville. And there was a woman staying at the house that had to be 85 or 90. And all of us went in. There was like 8 of us. And my friend, whose name I won't use, said, have you seen so-and-so? And she looked at him and started waving her finger. And she goes, you stay away from that man. And he said, why, Grandma? And she said, he's on that Hearn. And he goes, what? He's on what, Grandma? What are you saying? She goes, Hearn. He goes, I don't know what Hearn is. She's like, yeah, you do. You put it in a spoon, you cook it, you shoot it Hearn. And from that moment on, we thought that was the funniest thing that anyone had ever said. And no one else there, right? Just me and my friend found it a lot funnier than everybody else, right? Because we happen to be addicted to Hearn. And that's what we called it for the remainder of the time that I did that stuff. And most people around me started, because most people started saying that too. The other one was Ronnie. People said that for years because it could call you on the phone and go, hey, you seen Ronnie? That was the other one. When to do the 8 minutes come in waves. What to do when the 8 minutes come in waves. Like 8 minutes, crap. They pass, feel fine for 2. Oh, darn, here comes another 8 minutes. Guess yoga class is a start. Yes, it is, right? Yoga class is a start. I start stacking. If I have a problem where I'm not getting the relief after talking for 8 minutes or 10 minutes, or the relief is short-lived, I'm not, I'm right back to doing the ant thing, then I'm going to start stacking it, right? Honestly, I will get out of the environment I'm in. That's one. I will start walking, right? So that I am out of where I was. And then I'll probably reach out to somebody and make a phone call. Now, all of my senses are being bombarded with crap I wasn't looking at before. And I will stay with that person about as long as I can, right? And if I hang up and it's still there, I probably will spend the entire day talking to people on the telephone until I'm ready to pass out. I have found that more often than not, when the sun comes up the following day, you look at things a lot different, right? But the other side to this, honestly, if I think the yoga thing is great, starting to put physical stuff in is essential. There's a reason that mind, body, spirit, right? All of that is kind of it's real, and the body. I never bust anybody's chops for how their body looks. I don't care. I honestly don't. I really would rather judge somebody based on the content of their character at this point in my life. That's no joke. However, if your body is threatening your health, then you need to get healthy, right? I don't think it's a friendly thing to say to a friend, you know what? You're perfect exactly how you are at 950 pounds. No, you're morbidly obese and it's going to kill you. We got to do something, right? We got to intervene right now because we can get you to where you're at. Roberta says, I admire your courage to share your intimate stuff to help others. You know something? Thank you. But I really appreciate that. It is one of my tools, right? It is one of the things that I do that help me stay sober, right? If I suffer in silence, right, I'm screwed. Or if I swallow something, right, that bums me out, instead of going right to the person, my friends, if my friends do something to bum me out, I go to them instantly, right? I sent a text today to a friend, said, feeling some kind of way right now. I said, it's not, I don't think you've done anything. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling because if not, I'm going to be burying this and I don't want to do that. Yeah. You're sending that to Messenger, I'm assuming? If you send that to Messenger, that would help. Okay. The Messenger app. Um, Communication is the best. No, it really is, right? This is a real thing. But when you start finding yourself really unable to get that craving or whatever gone, you got to know what a craving is, right? A craving is an ant with a baseball bat, right? It's an automatic negative thought, but it's a vicious automatic negative thought. It's these kind of thoughts. What difference does it make? What seriously? What do you got? 6 months of sobriety? Okay, then quit again tomorrow. Get 6 months more. You already did it. You proved you can do it. In fact, you already proved you're not an addict. If you were an addict, you wouldn't have been able to go 6 months, right? All these stupid friggin' thoughts start cursing through your head. We know that two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. There's a law of physics. Someone smart can tell me what that law of physics is. But two things cannot be in the same place at the same time, right? One has to displace the other in order to be there. It's the exact same thing with a thought in your head. If you have automatic negative thoughts, you have to manually put in positive thoughts, right? You have to go out of your way to go to a happy place and to start cooking happy thoughts, right? It's not enough to have somebody talk you off the edge. Sometimes it's not enough. And for those times that it is not enough, you're going to have to start manually putting stuff into your dome. However how that takes place for you. What is the difference between a habit, a compulsion, and an addiction? Let's see. Let's unravel that. A habit is something that you do without thinking about it, right? You do it habitually. It's something that you don't even think about, like me saying right, or me going and. It's such an ingrained habit, but it's not really it's not causing adverse problems in my life. So we're probably not going to call it an addiction, because in order for something to be an addiction, one of the things is it is affecting your life negatively, right? So a habit is I think is a lower threshold, right? There are bad habits. Cracking your knuckles is a habit, right? I don't think that a heroin habit is a little bit different. An addiction, we know, right? We all know what addiction is. It's the inability to say stop to something that is screwing your life up in the face of overwhelming reasons and overwhelming evidence that this is bad for you and you need to quit it. In the face of that, you go screw it and just continue to do it, right? That is addiction. That's addiction. So the compulsion, I don't know. Honestly, I could make this easy and say it kind of falls somewhere between the two, but that's not right. It's really not. It sounds good, but it's not. Compulsive behavior, I think, is like a habit, but it's a negative habit. I don't think that people use the word compulsion very often, as a good thing. He has a real compulsion to go down to, and don't volunteer in the soup kitchen. That's not the kind of thing that we use compulsion for, right? We use compulsion as almost always a negative thing, right? So that, in my opinion, now I'm no. This is just the admiral's take on those three words. But to me, a habit is a lower threshold. It's almost nothing unless you put something on it to modify it. A heroin habit, right? A cocaine habit, but a habit. Just the word habit in itself, I don't think carries as much stigma. Probably rightfully so. Letter writing is a dying art. I did so much of it. Prison. It is a very legitimate form of communication if you happen to be incarcerated. I don't know whether or not they've done away with it, because they were talking very seriously about doing away with it. And there were yards where anything that you mailed in, they took it out, they made a photocopy of it, and they sent it to the inmate. So whatever you sent in gets shredded. They just make a photocopy of it because people soak the paper in drugs. They're very creative of how they get dope through the mail. So they're trying to do away with that. And it's been litigated to the Supreme Court, where they gave convicts postcards. All they were allowed to do is write on a postcard. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, nope, you can do that. I couldn't stop getting locked up until I got control of my compulsive dumbassness. Yeah, I think that's there you go. Pretty solid. I think as far as examples go, that's a good one. Uh, so if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you find yourself getting your butt kicked by automatic negative thoughts, go down the list, right? What can I do myself to eliminate what's going on in my head? The first call shouldn't be, hey, you got 8 minutes, because in all honesty, that's one of those things that if you start using that for every affliction that you've got, you're going to become the most annoying friend on earth. Right? The idea is that we're going to get enough tools that we can stand on our own 2 feet. So a change of scenery, dropping down and getting, start to get your heart rate up, start to get your breathing up, start to change your physiology. Because I don't care who you are, your physiology will change how you feel, right? It'll change your psychology. Your physiology always does. If you sit up and you roll your chest back, your shoulders back, and stick your chest out and start raising your voice, in order to do that, you got to take more oxygen in, right? You have to really kind of get excited, right? And if you fake that excitement, it's like faking a smile. Put a big ass, dumb, crap-eating grin on your face for about 5 minutes and see what happens, right? Just do this number. You will find yourself, honestly, starting to feel better. It's just your physiology will change your psychology. It really does. It's one of the reasons that, stand up straight, right? Do that. Roll your shoulders back. It's not a matter of, you know what, you just look so much more confident. Well, that's great, isn't it? But if we do the opposite and you roll yourself forward, you are taking the most important part of your body here and you're crunching it down. So it's harder for your lungs to fill up. It's horrific. The more you stand up like this, now we start bringing oxygen into our lungs, and we can do that ACC breathing. So your abdominal breathing, and then your chest, and then all the way up to the clavicular stuff, ACC. So the lobes at the top of your lungs, start exchanging some of that foul oxygen out of there with new stuff, right? Getting rid of that tidal volume of gas that we have in our lungs, right? Do some stuff that will pull you out of your own funk. Because I promise you, there's stuff that you can do to pull yourself out of your own funk. Brianna Miller says, I spent 4 days not seeing the light of day. I was wondering why I was so depressed. I went out into the sun and it made a world of difference. They have found that when you deprive people of direct sunlight, bad things happen. One of the reasons that no matter how jacked up you get in prison, no matter what you do, no matter how much they want to punish you, they're going to let you outside for 1 hour a day. That too has been litigated to the Supreme Court, and they have got to let you, they've got to make sure that you're outside for a minimum of 5 hours a week. Yep. Sorry, hold on. I have to say something coming out of left field. Our becoming sober on our own terms and collectively healing actually raises up to the highest timeline. We are quite powerful, especially together. I dig that. And I don't know that it's wildly out of left field. I feel like it's kind of in the wheelhouse there. My worst aunts like to come hang out around 2 or 3 a.m. I'll do some more night walks and find some more some Aussies. There you go, and friends to chat with. That's one of the beautiful things about the internet is someone is always up, especially on the boat. Right, there's somebody always awake. I promise you, there is. We're bad and we're international, right? We're bad and we're nationwide. No, we're international. We're in over 100 countries. So chances are there's somebody who would like to spend 8 minutes talking to you because it helps them. Toradol either works for you or doesn't work for you. I will be really honest. I think the reason that Toradol works nicely on me is because it feels so much like a skin pop, like your muscle and dope. When they put the needle in and they push it down and the burn comes on, I felt that so many times in my life. I think it's euphoric recall. I think that my body goes, oh, we're about to feel better. And I think that honestly, it may be all in my head, but I've been very successful with using Toradol. Toradol is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, kind of like Advil, right? Or ibuprofen, but it comes only by prescription and only in a syringe, and that's big. You know, it's usually only used in hospitals, and it's given to people who say, "I really don't want an opiate," who are in a lot of pain. Um, by the way, if you're treating pain, you also have to treat inflammation because inflammation and pain are best friends. I love it. I love it. Remember, every addict who is sober for even just one day is a champion, who shows up daily to defend their title. Yeah, be that champion. You know what? It is the greatest thing in the world, right? And she's smarter than me, so you should listen to her, right? She's a professional. If Don Glove says it, you can take it to the bank. The thing with arthritis is that's inflammation of the joints. Pain meds can ease the pain, but does nothing to stop the inflammation. NSAIDs are better for arthritis, and that would be the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Um, See, Shannon Smith likes Toradol. Yeah, for me it was great. A lot of people don't like it. I consider myself having the same disease as addiction. I have dependence to get rid of ants. Same disease, different symptoms. Is that a fair description? I believe it is. I believe it is. Now, we get into semantics, right? I believe the treatment for what you are experiencing is exactly the same as the treatment for someone who is experiencing the desire to use. An ANT is a automatic negative thought. It's an acronym for automatic negative thought. Those are the things that get inside your head when you kind of hear your own voice in your head. You know, if you literally hear voices, you need to talk to a doctor. But the internal monologue that's always running starts telling you you're a loser, or you're fat, or you're ugly, or so and so didn't like you, or the reason that your husband left was because of whatever. Right? You just start picking yourself apart. It's it's negatively, yeah. And then it says, oh, I have those all the time. Yes, everybody has those all the time, right? And killing ants really is the thing that, excuse me, sir, but if I get rid of all the aunts, I think they'll lock me up and throw it. Ants, you Greek? Great reference, Jeremy Shelton. Great reference. That was a good one. Uh, that really is. That's very, very funny. Caddyshack reference always makes me happy. So, Quibble had to stop by the doctor or go to an urgent care this morning. She's still having some issues. So don't know if I'm going to be doing anything else today. Tomorrow, I hope all of you come back. I want to talk specifically just about ants. Toradol is great. I can't take NSAIDs via pills, but I can have a shot. Complex regional pain symptoms. My shoulder hurts much more than the usual pain from 3 level failed cervical back. Oh man, CBC, I'm sorry, but see, I'm not a huge fan of orally taking NSAIDs either. I'm not, and I don't feel like I get a lot of success with it. But I get a ton of success with Toradol. Not sure what the deal is, but again, it might just be the burn, right? Burn. Uh, yeah. It's been a long time since we. Dandelion tincture is wonderful for inflammation. Thank you, Lisa Beam. I love when people are into the are in the know. People that have researched, and I'm a big fan of anything that isn't big pharma. Yeah, I hope she gets better too. I mean, I hope that she gets better soon because we've been having some fun. It's been a lot of fun over there. Yes, blessed to crochet. We will see you later on the boat. You know what, people? More connection, right? The more connection that you are doing, the better. Metallica references make me happy, but I'll stop talking now. There you go, Darcy. Gotcha. I'll keep that in mind. I promise to keep that in mind. Body Illusion says late, but I'm here. We're not mad at you, right? It's showing up is half the battle. Boy, I wish you could see Squirrel right now. Squirrel is cleaning herself to the point where you got to start wondering if she's just doing it for fun. Hey, lighten up. See, I'm stalling because I don't really want to show my cat cleaning this part of her body, but I do want to do the cat in the basket thing. You think maybe you could put that off for a little bit? No, it's not going to happen. All right. That is a cat in a basket. Going right back to work on that too. Apparently, they're needed a little cleaning. I love the little stupid factoids on cats, but you know when they're doing this one, like I remember as a kid thinking, how wet can they be getting their paw? Like how much honestly can that be helping? What they're doing is putting conditioner. Their tongue actually excretes a type of conditioner that allows them to for their hair to just be that beautiful, supple, lovely coat that our cats have. I love the boat, Sandy Wendy. I love the boat too. I really do. I love this boat. I will see all of you tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to continue the talk. We're going to talk specifically just about ants. All right. All right, people. This is the month. I will be here virtually every day this month. So keep coming back. 9 o'clock. Tell your friends. The Admiral will be here. I'm Admiral Tommy Scoble. We'll see you on the next one. God bless. Bye-bye.